Not a single soul recognized him. Not the guards with vacant eyes beneath wide-brimmed hats. Not the emaciated prisoners bearing the deep scars of their suffering. And certainly not Warden Zaire, a man whose name resonated with power and fear across the region. When Ibrahim Traoré, the new leader of this challenging land, shed his identity and stepped through the rusted iron gates of the black prison, disguised as an ordinary inmate named Daouda Diallo, he knew he was descending into the very heart of hell on earth. What he was about to witness would be seared into his memory, and within 6 days the fortress of decay would begin to crumble. Nestled deep within a barren, unforgiving valley, where only searing wind and crimson dust held sway, lay the Black Prison, the place where light itself seemed to recoil. Behind towering stone walls and coils of barbed wire lay a world stripped of human law, governed solely by the savage logic of the strong and the choking echo of despair. Official communiques landing on Traoré's desk were invariably polished. The facility operates with efficiency. Inmates maintain strict discipline. Living conditions meet all regulations. But whispers, born on the scarce wind and smuggled out in clandestine notes, painted a horrifyingly different picture. Brutal torture, relentless hunger, prisoners vanishing without a trace, and deaths shrouded in anonymity. Two realities existed side by side, and Traoré, a man allergic to deceit, knew only one way to uncover the truth: to descend into the abyss himself. He entered the Black Prison on a bleak morning, merging seamlessly with the influx of new faces. The name Daouda Diallo, 35 years old, petty theft, a fabricated file, unremarkable in every detail. But beneath the facade of a broken man resided the keen intellect and unyielding will of the one who bore the weight of the nation's future. Hurry it up, new meat. Chief Guard Kojo, a hulking brute with a pot belly and a face crisscrossed with old scars, bellowed, his gaze fixed elsewhere. Traoré complied without a word. A patchy beard, rags for clothes, a perpetual stoop. He had utterly shed his identity, embodying a broken spirit. The first hours were a torrent of humiliation and brutality. The prison uniform reeked of stale sweat and mildew. The cell was a tomb of damp cold, the guards' ceaseless barking a constant assault. He was confined to cell block E9, the infamous section where the very air felt heavier with despair. On the sagging metal bunk, he felt the accumulated filth and pervasive damp. The other prisoners eyed him with a mixture of suspicion and weary detachment. "Hey, new guy," a voice like grinding gravel called from the lower bunk. It was Kwame, a burly man whose eyes held the weariness of years, but glinted with sharp awareness. "So, what'd they get you for?" "Just a small-time theft. Went south," Traoré replied, keeping his voice neutral, the carefully practiced tone of an inmate. "Bad break, eh?" Kwame let out a hollow, cynical laugh. "Bad breaks are currency here. Luck has no value. Only coin and the sheer refusal to break." Kwame, who had been serving time for over 10 years, held a quiet authority within the block. He had mastered the brutal calculus of survival within these walls. "What's life like in here, Kwame?" Traoré asked, his curiosity genuine. Kwame grew pensive. "Life? This isn't living. It's just enduring. Day by brutal day. Every breath is a battle. The slop they serve is barely fit for pigs. Sickness is a death sentence. Medicine, a reprieve from a beating, even a whisper of survival. All have a price tag." Kwame detailed the intricate web of extortion orchestrated by Warden Zaire, where everything was commodified, from a slightly less terrible meal to avoiding the dark room. That first night, Traoré remained awake, a silent observer. He listened. Amidst the snores and groans, he heard other sounds. Stifled cries, the echoing crack of whips from somewhere far off. His eyes settled on Amara, a young man curled up on the opposite bunk, trembling violently, gasping for each breath. "What's wrong with him?" Traoré asked Kwame. "Amara," Kwame whispered. Got on the wrong side of the gods a few days back. His people couldn't scrape together the bribe. He's burning up with fever now. Won't make it through the week, I reckon. No doctor? Traoré asked. Kwame just offered a sad, knowing smile. Here, you either pray for a miracle or prepare to die. That's the absolute truth of this place. On the third day, the grim inevitability arrived. Amara slipped away in the night, silently. Guards came and dragged his body out, as if removing refuse, indifferent and mechanical. A cold fury coiled in Traoré's gut, ruthlessly suppressed. Emotion was a luxury no inmate could afford. Chief Guard Kojo, his sharp eyes sweeping the cell block, spotted Traoré. You new meat, he bellowed, pointing. With me. They took him to the dark room, the nerve center of this cruelty Kwame had hinted at. The heavy iron door groaned shut, enveloping Traoré in a stifling airless void. The walls were smeared with history's stains. The floor was a scattered display of terror, leather whips, frayed electrical wires, blood-stained pliers. In the center stood a stationary iron chair, where even the faintest flicker of hope was extinguished. Warden Zaire materialized, corpulent, in an immaculate white uniform, but his eyes held the chill of a glacier. He held the Dauda Diallo file and offered a condescending smirk. You knew me, Zaire said. I hear you're quite the curious one, poking your nose into things. Perhaps you haven't grasped the fundamental rules of the black prison. Traoré stood straighter, just slightly. I'm just trying to keep my head down, he said, maintaining the carefully neutral tone of an inmate. Keep your head down? Zaire's laughter boomed, devoid of mirth. That requires coin. Do you have anyone outside willing to pay for your comfort? Traoré remained silent. Kwame's words echoed in his mind, a horrifying confirmation. This was a vast, meticulously run racket. Look here. Zaire gestured towards the chair. The equation is simple. Compliance or consequence, coin or agony. 1 million for a breath of comfort. 2 for the illusion of safety. 3 for a fleeting chance at the sky. The sum Zaire demanded was a king's ransom for ordinary folk. Warden, Traoré said softly, his voice steady, I think I have a different offer. Zaire arched an eyebrow, amused. And what exactly does a piece of refuse like you possess that could be of value? Before you initiate the unpleasantries, Traoré's voice shed its pretense, his eyes now meeting Zaire's with an unnerving intensity devoid of fear. I want to show you who I am. Perhaps then we can reach a more comprehensive understanding. Zaire let out a harsh, dismissive laugh. Oh, a big secret, eh? Who are you? Royalty. He advanced, a cruel smile playing on his lips, ready to administer the first lesson. But then, in a swift, unexpected movement, Traoré didn't produce a device from his collar. Instead, he reached into his own mouth, deftly removing a false lower tooth. It wasn't just a tooth. Embedded beneath the porcelain facade was a minuscule, almost invisible tracking chip, a highly sensitive, encrypted beacon. Zaire froze, the cruel smile dissolving into utter bewilderment. What in God's name are you doing? He bellowed, his face draining of color. He felt a cold dread running down his spine. This wasn't a simple prisoner. There was no button to press. Traoré simply held the chip in his palm. A faint, almost imperceptible pulse emanated from it. A silent signal that resonated not with sound, but with a cold dread pooling in Zaire's gut. I'm pinpointing my exact location, Traoré stated, his voice now ringing with absolute authority, shedding every trace of Dauda Diallo. And signaling the team that's been waiting. They are, I assure you, already here. Zaire's face was a mask of ash and disbelief. He trembled violently, all vestiges of his former power crumbling. It's impossible. You? Here? How? You thought you controlled everything within these walls, Zaire? Traoré's voice was a cold, hard echo in the room. You thought you were the apex predator. You were wrong. He hadn't finished speaking when the door to the dark room didn't open for Zaya's men. It exploded inwards. Figures in black, moving with brutal efficiency, swarmed the room. Their gear was state-of-the-art, their eyes sharp and focused behind tactical masks. Traoré's personal security detail, his loyal, unwavering special forces. What is this? Zaire choked out, stumbling backward as his own guards were swiftly neutralized. Traoré stood tall, his posture radiating command. The transformation was complete. The stoop vanished. The fear evaporated. He was no longer the broken Daouda Diallo. He was Ibrahim Traoré. Warden Zaya? Traoré's voice echoed with finality. I am Ibrahim Traoré, and you are under arrest. Zaya crumpled, reduced to a pathetic figure, his pleas a desperate litany. Well, we were just following orders, he stammered, sweat beading on his forehead. Orders from higher up. The only authority here, Zaire, is mine now. Traoré's voice was like a blade. And the only mandate I issue is justice. Uncompromising, uncorrupted justice. Not the twisted parody you administered. The air outside filled with a thrumming roar of helicopters. The black prison was sealed. A net dropped from the sky. Inside, the guards devolved into panicked chaos, their bluster dissolving. Weapons clattered to the ground as they surrendered, some attempting futile escapes that were swiftly intercepted. When the heavy door of cell block E9 finally groaned open, the prisoners stared in stunned silence, unable to process the sight before them. Ibrahim Traoré, no longer Daouda Diallo, walked in with the special forces. He stood before them, no longer the broken figure they knew, but a man radiating quiet power and unwavering resolve. Kwame, Traoré's voice was gentle yet firm. You were... Kwame's voice was thick with disbelief, tears beginning to stream down his face. Yes, Traoré confirmed, offering a small, genuine smile. And everything you shared, every painful truth, it was invaluable. The time for silence is over. The time for reckoning and rebuilding has begun. Traoré, accompanied by his team, systematically moved through the facility. What he uncovered exceeded even his darkest expectations. Cells overflowing with human suffering, the skeletal forms of the inmates, the chilling absence of any medical care worth the name, and the dark room, a silent, horrific testament to the atrocities committed. He meticulously documented everything, taking photographs, recording the chilling accounts of survivors, noting the names of every guard implicated in the brutality. 6 days later, the population of the black prison was assembled in the central yard. On one side stood the former inmates, frail and ragged, their eyes a mixture of terror and burgeoning hope. Opposite them, the guards and administrators, stripped of their authority, stood pale and defeated. Ibrahim Traoré addressed them, not in the uniform of a leader, but radiating an undeniable presence. Senior ministers and officials flanked him. Today, Traoré's voice carried clearly across the yard, we rip back the veil. We confront the grim reality of this place, a forgotten corner where human dignity was crushed, where the scales of justice were tipped not by law, but by greed. This nation will no longer pretend such darkness does not exist within its borders. He paused, his gaze sweeping over the former guards. Those who participated in the systematic cruelty, the extortion, the torture. You will be held accountable. You will face justice. A just process, not the mockery you imposed. Some guards openly wept, a few knelt. This edifice of shame, Traoré declared, his voice ringing with finality. The so-called black prison is hereby closed, effective immediately. It will be dismantled, stone by stone. On this ground, we will build something new. A symbol, a center for human dignity. He turned to the former inmates. To the former inmates, Traoré's gaze softened slightly. You will receive immediate medical attention. The sick will be cared for, the hungry fed. Your cases will be reviewed with fairness and impartiality. No longer will you be treated as less than human. You are citizens. You are people. and your inherent dignity will be restored. Kwame looked at Traoré, tears streaming down his face. Is this real? He whispered. Months later, the transformation was complete. The black prison was no more, its stones reduced to a heap of rubble. In its place stood the Center for Human Dignity, a beacon of light. Bright, airy living quarters replaced the cells. A modern clinic, classrooms for vocational training, and a library, built precisely where the dark room once stood, offered new possibilities. The grim kitchen was replaced by a spacious dining hall serving nourishing food. One day, Traoré returned to the center. He came simply, without ceremony or a large retinue. He walked among the men and women who were once prisoners, now engaged in learning, creating, living. Their frames were no longer skeletal, their eyes free from fear. Their faces held the fragile dawn of hope. Kwame, now part of the library's small staff, rushed towards him. Mr. President, his voice was thick with emotion. Yo, you kept your word? Traoré smiled, shaking Kwame's hand. Then Traoré's gaze fell on Amara. The young man who had been left to die was now strong, healthy, engrossed in a book in the library. Amara looked up, saw Traoré, and his eyes welled with tears. He approached, his voice choked. Mr. President, he whispered, you didn't just save my life. You gave me a future. Traoré didn't need to speak. He simply reached out and gently embraced Amara. Then Kwame joined, and others gathered around. There were no grand speeches, no thunderous applause, just quiet, fierce embraces. Embraces that spoke of shared pain and a dawning possibility. Embraces that, in their simple strength, seemed to chase away the lingering chill of the past. A nation's soul, Traoré said softly later, his voice carrying the weight of experience, is often reflected in its prisons. The black prison was a shattered, grimy mirror of shame and despair. This center, this is a new reflection, a mirror of courage, of justice, of reclaimed dignity. The true measure of a society lies not in how it treats its most privileged, but its most vulnerable. And true freedom blossoms only when justice is accessible to every single soul. The tale of Ibrahim Traoré's infiltration of the black prison quickly became more than a story. It became a legend. Not confined to that land, but echoing across borders. A testament to a leader's courage, who dared to descend into the deepest darkness to ignite a flicker of light. A testament to the possibility of justice taking root even in the most desolate soil. A testament to the transformative power of empathy and unwavering commitment to the common good. The long night of the black prison was over. The dawn of the Center for Human Dignity had arrived.